Welcome to Emotional Healing for Christian Women, the podcast where faith meets inner healing. Imagine waking up without the weight of shame, guilt, fear, and loneliness. Imagine finally feeling worthy, confident, and at peace. And doing this with God by your side. That's the healing we can begin together. I'm Marvel Adeyemi, a psychotherapist and a faith-led women's coach. Let's get started. The third person in your marriage is not who you think it is. It's more around boundaries, betrayal, and more importantly, I'll talk about healing today. Thank you for joining in today. I'm talking about something quite phenomenal that often stays hidden behind closed doors and polite social media posts. I'm talking about the three-person marriage. Why is it? Because it's not just about physical affairs. A three-person marriage is any dynamic where your partner has granted a third entity. It can be an affair partner, it can be a parent, or even a toxic addiction. The same or higher frequency and priority that your marriage covenant has. So it's like a contract that you never signed. Yet you've been living by the rules for many years. Definitely we see this in infidelity, but we also can see that in enmeshment. Imagine a husband who cannot protect his wife from his mother's insult. Imagine a man who equates leaving his wife, prioritizing his wife, and abandoning her for a third party, an affair partner. And in this house of the three-person marriage, there are three people in the bed. You, him, and the ghost of the third party expectations. So initially when you realize this pattern, pay attention, pattern, the brain and the shock that your nervous system will experience will hit you. Whether you overhear a conversation or finally you see the neglect that you are experiencing, your brain will undergo a massive trauma response. And let me explain this a little bit. The amygdala, your brain's alarm system, will go into a state of high alert. It will flood your body with cortisol. The reason is because in the beginning you will feel things are surreal. But once the initial shock wears down, the damage will begin to reveal itself. Now, the rupture in the attachment of your relationship can show up in the form of nightmares, hallucinations, or even night terrors. Your brain is simply trying to process the betrayal trauma while you sleep. And you will become hypervigilant most often. You start scanning for threats. You start questioning so many realities of your past experiences. It could impact on your sleep experience as well. You can't sleep because your nervous system no longer feels safe in your own bed and in your own room. I want to talk about the patterns and the symptoms. It's important to look out for the symptoms. How do you know you are in a third-person marriage, in your own marriage? Number one is you will notice the absence of protection. If you are humiliated or disrespected, either by a family member in the case of enmeshment, or even a stranger, or by the betrayal partner, your partner will go quiet. He won't stand up for you. He will choose peace with the outsider over loyalty to you. Another thing to look out for is what I call the chameleon effect. Your partner will be a nice guy to the world, a people pleaser at church or work, but at home he is emotionally blunt, avoidant, or passive aggressive. Very important. Take note of that. Number three is you will feel the weight of a mental load. You are the spark plug. You are the one who has the strength. Nothing moves unless you push it in the home. You manage the children, you manage the repairs, you manage the social life and the spiritual life. He's simply a tenant in the life that you have built. You will always be in a survival mode because you are over-functioning in maintaining the status quo of the marriage and the family. Another thing to look out for is the disappearing act. When you try to address the third person dynamic, Keep in mind, this can also include addiction. He withdraws, or he goes passive aggressive, or he might tell you he has a migraine, or he goes to sleep, or accuses you of being aggressive for setting a basic boundary. So think about it this way. Think of a woman who has spent, say, 15, 20, 11 years, what have you, in this emotional warfare. She's intelligent, she's high achieving, she's beautiful, but she's found herself in a small sleeping apart as a form of physical boundary for herself because of her husband's passivity. And because that has become a wall, she realized that she has been married to his addiction or third party for decades in her marriage or a few years. She wasn't his partner, and she was a threat to his unhealthy addictions or enmeshment or trauma, whatever it is. Now, I need to warn you about the danger of premature repair. I say this a lot in the work that I do as a relationship and marriage counselor. The most important part of today's episode is what I'm about to share with you, so listen very closely. When you finally see the pattern, your first instinct is to often go into repair. I hear people say a lot, want to repair a marriage, I want to repair a marriage. You want to go to couple counseling. You want to fix him. You want to rescue him. You want to explain the damage so that he will finally get it. All right? Now, stop. If your partner is not taking full responsibility or is not being radically accountable, you cannot go into repair mode. You cannot repair a bridge while the other person is still holding the dynamite. All right? Your first call should not be to a couples therapist. It should be to a personal counseling. You need a therapist who knows your worth, not someone who wants to save the marriage at the expense of your soul. Why? Because you don't know the extent of the damage on your self-esteem until you get out of the fog. All right. You need to assess your own nervous system health first. You need to reclaim your own sovereignty before you can even decide if the marriage is worth saving. And you need to seek support shamelessly. This is a time to find support. Don't hide in shame. Talk to trusted friends, family, or spiritual leaders or religious leaders who understand narcissistic patterns or passive-aggressive enmeshment. This is very important. Now, the next thing I suggest you do is to build boundaries around your self-worth. The way out of a three-person marriage is not through negotiation. You can't coach a man to have a husband capacity. It's not a curriculum that you coach a man into. This is a capacity of the soul. This is something way beyond you trying to fix, you trying to negotiate. The way I highly recommend is through boundaries and self-worth. And I know this is messy, this is not easy, but it is possible. A boundary is not a wall that is built to keep him out. It's a gate that is built to keep you in peace. Most likely you are boundaryless. And I might say that respectfully because your sense of worth has been so hinged on your partner. And so what will boundary look like for you? It can look like moving into your own space in your own house. Yes, it can look like refusing to coach him on how to be a father, how to be a husband. It can look like investing in your own fitness, your own career, and your own hobbies, your joy. You leave him to choose his bland passivity. You have to become allergic to being disvalued. Very important. I have worked with so many high achieving women, right? And emotionally intelligent, spiritually intelligent, empathetic. They are just bursting with ideas. And I've come to see that you have to realize that his low self-esteem is not an excuse for his lack of integrity. You are a queen, and a queen does not beg for a seat at a table she bought and paid for. As you begin to recover and heal, you might at least start feeling so embarrassed as to why you have chosen a partner like you have. And that's okay. You don't have to feel so horrible. Chances are you chose your partner when you were still in your own trauma state. You had your own personal trauma experiences.
But now you're evolving, and this version of you needs to recognize that the version of him and the version of your relationship is not sustainable for you. So what's the solution profile? The solution involves a sovereign exit. Now, this is not necessarily a physical divorce today, but emotionally and mentally you need to exit because you need to put that boundary there. You stop being the project manager of his life. You start building your own. You start building on your fitness. This is very important. And you start building on your hobbies and connections and friendships. Now, if you recognize yourself in this story or you feel like an outsider in your own home, if your self-esteem is currently under the rubble of a three-person dynamic, I want to invite you to do the work. You don't have to do this alone. I invite you to work with a boundary and self-worth psychotherapist like myself who understand relationship and marriage counseling. And when you are also dealing with grandiosity and blatant personality and what we regularly will call narcissistic behavior now, someone who will help you rebuild your own identity from the ground up that is independent of your role as a wife or a mother. This is very important. And you don't have to wait to start this work. Your suddenly season is waiting for you, but it requires you to stay in the room of your own peace. All right. To book a consultation, just go to marveladeyemi.com or wholesomecounseling.com and you will get a link for booking in because it's time to stop being a party to a third person marriage and so that you can start being the principal character in your own story. Many times women tell me, how do I build my self-confidence? Again, I want to be able to love myself. You can rebuild your self-confidence. You can rebuild your sense of self-image. And this is something that I usually teach in my counseling session. A lot has to do with your sense of worth and your boundary. It works together. You can't build boundaries where your sense of worth hasn't been repaired. And that is where the true repair should happen, with you first, not in a couple counseling. And that will be all for today. I hope this blessed you. If you loved this podcast, please like it, share. Thank you for being a part of my community. Until next episode, stay confident, stay beautiful, and stay prayed up. Bye for now.
Thank you for spending time with me today on Emotional Healing for Christian Women. If this episode blessed you, please leave a review and share it with a friend who needs encouragement. And don't forget to download my new book, Beyond the Hurt, from my website, marveladeyemi.com.au, and other free resources. Until next time, stay healed, stay beautiful, and stay confident.